What's up, everyone? It's your girl Shay here, and welcome to my channel. If you are new, welcome back to my channel. If you've been here before, and as you can see by the title of today's video, I'm doing the pros and cons of digital manga. Now, first of all, why am I doing this video? Well, mostly because, like I've told you guys many times before, I don't buy a lot of physical manga anymore. Most of the manga I buy is digital. And I know that a lot of people kind of want to make that switch, but they don't know the pros and cons when it comes to digital manga. So I decided, why not make a video of the pros and cons of digital manga that I've kind of realized while buying mostly digital manga, and then let you guys, of course, decide for yourself what is best for you guys. Now, I do plan to make another video probably next week talking about the pros and cons of physical manga, so that those of you who want to weigh the pros and cons of that, you can as well. So I think I have about an even amount, kind of. At least I try to make it as even as possible for the pros and cons. Also, mostly the pros and cons in some ways are kind of like just my opinion and kind of like how I feel about it. And that's kind of up to you guys to decide if that is actually a pro or a con for you. So just want to make sure that you guys know that. And yeah, let's get started with this video. All right, first we're going to start out with the pros because, you know, why not? But yeah, I have it written right here on my phone. So if you see me looking down, this is why, because I want to remember what pros I got and what cons I have. So one of the pros that I have is you can take it with you anywhere. So the reason why I feel like this is a pro is because many of us, I know myself included, if we're going on a trip somewhere, going in the car or going on a plane or just visiting someone somewhere or just leaving the house for a certain amount of time, whether it's running errands or whatever, we sometimes want to take a manga with us, but it's kind of hard to decide what manga to take with you. And if you're going on a long trip where there's a suitcase involved, you are probably looking at your bookshelf like, which manga can I take that I can read while I'm on this trip when there is downtime? And I want to make sure I take enough where I don't read them all before I get back, but I don't want to take too much so that it's not like my suitcase weighs like way over the limit and I get in trouble or have to pay extra fees, which is where the great thing about digital manga comes involved, because everything is right on your device. It's either on your phone or your iPad, and you can take dozens of manga with you wherever you go, so you don't feel the strain of trying to decide what to put on there. So yeah, that is a pro that I have for having digital manga. The next pro that I have is that in some cases it can be cheaper or sometimes free. Now, I realize this because of the fact that I use numerous apps. I've done a video before on the apps that I use for digital manga, and also kind of explained how it kind of has helped me in some ways to save money. So one of the apps that I use is called Comixology, and some of the manga on there is available with your subscription. So it's under unlimited and you don't have to pay per volume. The Viz Media Manga app has some manga available that's done in chapters where you can read all the chapters as they're coming out, if it's a manga that's still ongoing or if it's a manga they decide to have that way, and that way you don't have to pay per volume. And even in iBooks, where I do buy a majority of my manga, some of them are so much cheaper than actually buying the physical version. So like, for example, Uzumaki here that I have, which I'm gonna take down off the shelf, this right here is $28. That is how much the physical one costs. Now I'm gonna check on iBooks and see how much the digital one costs. And on the digital one for Uzumaki, it actually costs $16. So that's a pretty big savings. So you have $15.99, basically $16, and then you have $28 for the physical version. So like I said, in a lot of ways, it can be a lot cheaper buying a digital compared to buying the physical copy. So that might be helpful too, because you'll be able to buy more for what you pretty much want. So the third one that I have is one that I know a lot of us probably feel like is a pro with digital manga, and that is it can save you bookshelf space. So I know for me, I was limited with how much manga I could buy because of the bookshelf space that I had. So I started having to be very picky about which manga I felt I really wanted to buy to put on my bookshelf. So I ended up realizing that the only manga I really wanted to buy is up here, which is my Sailor Moon Eternal Edition manga. Everything everything else on here, I pretty much can't really buy anymore, which is why I mostly switched to digital. But the great thing about digital, which makes this a pro, is that I don't have to worry about bookshelf space. I'm only limited by what the actual space is on my device. So if my device has like 256 gigabytes and I plan to mostly buy manga to put on there, that's a heck of a lot of manga, and I'm only limited by that. And then if it is like, if I do realize that I'm running out of space, I can easily like remove it from my library and it's still in the cloud. So it's still mine, it's just not downloaded. So that to me is the great thing and a pro about having digital manga. So let me know what you guys think about that. I know bookshelf space is a big one for a lot of people. The next one I have, in some cases, you can find more titles. So that is because, as like many of us, sometimes manga is out of print or it's not available, or it's just, or even there is some manga that aren't even made in a physical realm or a physical copy. So like, for example, the manga Fuka, which is the sequel to Suzuka, I think there is a physical version of it, but I've never seen it. I actually didn't even know there was a sequel until I was on iBooks and realized there's actually a sequel to this, and it's available digitally. Another example is Peach Girl Next, which I had heard about coming out, but then never saw like a physical copy in Barnes and Noble, just nowhere. I never saw it. And then I realized they really only released it digitally, and I saw it available on iBooks. So that's what I mean, is that you can find more titles, is that you're not limited by what you can find either online or what you can find in a bookstore. You're basically just limited in some ways by what's available on iBooks or what's available on Comixology or available on a particular app. That's the only thing. So yeah, to me, you can also find more titles. The next one I have is you don't have to wait for a manga to ship, and you don't have to worry about it being sold out. So one of the things that I was seeing across my Instagram was that a lot of people were talking about the fact that they actually were waiting so long for their orders from Right Stuff, and also the fact that a lot of manga they wanted to buy that became insanely popular were sold out. So an example I can give is like, not Skippy. An example I can give is like Sweat and Soap was sold out for a lot of people. Another one I think was like Demon Slayer. I think a lot of people had a hard time coming across the very first volume. And so people who were buying it were like, it is sold out everywhere. I have nowhere to buy it from. I have to wait. It's on hold. I have to really just wait for it to get in stock and then hurry up and buy it. And with digital manga, you don't have to worry about that. It's always available for you. You don't have to worry about shipping, not about shipping costs. As soon as you buy it, it's downloaded onto your device and you can immediately start reading. So to me, that convenience is awesome. Next one I have, and the last one I have, is you don't have to worry about any damages. You don't have to worry about the condition of it. So you don't have to worry about any tears. You don't have to worry about any ripping of it. No yellowing of the pages, which yellowing of the pages, I'll be honest with you, isn't a bad thing, but you don't have to worry about that if it is a digital copy. You don't have to worry about any damage happening to the manga itself. Now, you do have to worry about damage happening to your device, but you don't have to worry about damage to the actual manga. So I know for me, I take such pride in my books and in my mangas that I don't like them to be torn or bent or ripped. And it breaks my heart when that happens. So when a digital copy, I don't worry about that as much because it's not physically in my hands. So that's one of the great things. So that's the pros that I have. But let's move on to the cons, because there is definitely some things that digital manga just doesn't have that physical manga has. And of course, I want to make sure to explain that to you guys. So the first one I have for a con is that there's no thrill of the search. I mean, I love going to bookstores, and to me, it is so awesome to go into a bookstore and never knowing what you're going to find. You go through a bookstore, you look through a row, and you're like, oh my God, I found the perfect manga. I wasn't even looking for this manga. Or you find something that you've been looking for ages, and they have the exact volume that you're looking for. That is the amazing thing about that thrill of the search, is that you're like, I finally found what I was looking for. I know for me, I would have never found Sweat and Soap if it wasn't for me going through the bookstore, because I was like, oh my God, I've never read this before. It looks amazing. let me read it. So that's one of the great and amazing things. That's one of the cons about digital manga, is that there's no thrill in that. You can easily just search for what you're looking for and get it, which is convenient, but there's no thrill of like coming across something that you haven't found before and not knowing what you're looking for. All right, the next con that I have is, this is maybe something that's just a me thing, although I think some people has kind of felt this way before, but I feel like when I read digital manga, I finish it way too quickly. Whereas I feel like with a physical manga, for some reason it takes me a little bit longer to finish it. So it's just more satisfying, I guess is the best way for me to put it. You know, when it's a digital manga, I'm just swiping across my iPad or my phone, and next thing I know, I'm at the end of it. And next thing I know, that the 2 mangas that I bought, I've already finished. But with the physical manga, I don't know why, I just take so long to finish it, and it just feels nice. So to me, that is such a con with digital mangas, is because of, I don't know, it's just not the same. You know, the reading it just doesn't feel the same like reading a physical one. So overall, like I said, it might be a me thing, but I feel like when I read digital manga, I just finish it way too quickly. The next one I have is that it's not aesthetically pleasing. And what I mean by that is bookshelves. Now, I love looking through Instagram and seeing people's shelfies on Sundays and seeing what their shelves look like, how they're put together, how people arrange them. And on a digital manga, a digital library, you don't really have that. You know, you can look at all the manga that you have, but it just doesn't feel the same. So I kind of wish, honestly, that they made an app where you could rearrange your manga bookshelves, or just your bookshelves in general, to be able to make it aesthetically pleasing for you. And because I think that's awesome. But I feel like when you don't have a physical bookshelf, like physical bookshelves are great for that, because you can look at all your manga. It's aesthetically pleasing to see all your manga in order from 1 to 10 or 1 to 20 or whatever. And it's just great. And that is one con, is that when I look at my bookshelf, it feels like it looks a mess in my digital library. But then I look at my physical bookshelf, and while it's not, you know, great in size, like it's just so like wonderful to look at. And that is one thing that I miss and wish that digital manga had. The next one I have is kind of something I touched on a little bit when I talked about the pros. And for this one, it's like, if something happens to your device, like you lose it, or it's lost, or it breaks, or if you get another device and you don't remember your login for any reason, or that site that you're using, like, or that app you're using becomes defunct or doesn't work anymore, you basically have lost all your manga and everything that you've bought, and that sucks. You know, like if Comixology decided to stop running or doesn't work anymore, but you've bought manga, or if the Viz Media manga app was like, hey, we're defunct, we're not going to be working anymore, and you bought manga off of there, like volumes off of there, that is now lost. Like you're not going to be able to get that back, or I don't know how they would get that back. Or if you lose your login, like I said, that manga's now gone until you can figure out your login. So for me, that's a con, because that kind of sucks. Whereas with the physical manga, you're only limited like if something physically happens to it, or if you lose it or there's a mishap. But it's just, I don't know why, but I don't know why losing it off of the digital device feels so different to me than losing a physical copy, I guess. But that's one of the things, is that is a con. You know, you can still lose it even though you don't have the physical copy. And one of the last ones I have is that it's so much fun to take pictures with physical manga compared to digital ones. Like the layouts I see people use with their physical manga are amazing. And that's a con with digital manga, is that it's not, you can do a layout and stuff around it, but for some reason seeing a layout with physical manga is just so much more pleasing and eye-catching. Once again, that might just be a me thing. Other people may feel differently. But the last and final one I have is that it just doesn't feel the same. And what I mean by that is that if you're someone who's an avid book reader, then when you have a physical manga, it's in your hands and you're flipping through the pages, and if it's a new manga or a new book and that fresh book smell is there, it just takes you back, and it feels nice to have the paper in your hands as you're flipping through it. I mean, like if I take Skippy, for example, and I'm like that that feels so great, and it's just satisfying to flip through the pages as you get to the end. It feels nice to feel a physical book in your hands, whereas for this, it feels like it's just a device. And that's the only thing, is that you don't have that feel of flipping through a page like you do with the physical manga. So that is one thing. Another thing that I just don't like. Oh God, I'm trying to put this back. That I just don't like. That just doesn't feel the same. And then maybe this is the last one, because I just thought of this one, is I feel like when you have digital manga, another con is that you can get easily distracted. You're always getting phone notifications like Instagram or Twitter, or you want to all of a sudden go on Twitter or go on Instagram or go on Facebook or text your friend back, or you get a phone call and then you're interrupted. I feel like when I read a physical manga, I'm much more focused compared to when I read a digital manga, because then all of a sudden I'm in the app, I'm reading, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I really want to check Instagram. And I'll check Instagram and just start scrolling. So yeah, I think that's my final con about digital manga, is that it's so easy to get distracted. But that's pretty much what I have. Let me know what you guys think about these pros or cons. Let me know if you guys make your own list of pros and cons for digital manga, what you might switch or what you might add. Feel free to comment that below. Of course, feel free to comment any ideas you have for future videos. I will have links below on my social media accounts. Feel free to follow me if you like. I have my Instagram, I have my Twitter, and I have my TikTok. I also do post like little mini anime reviews. I'm going to start putting those on my YouTube as well for YouTube Shorts, so enjoy those. But yeah, that's what I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I always tell you guys, stay positive, stay nerdy in today's day and age. Stay healthy, and of course, stay safe. And of course, subscribe. All right, you guys. Bye.